Hello, friends. Welcome to the second happy hour of this season of the Kind Regards podcast, hosted by yours truly, Zamiwe Mwape. I am so pleased to have you here. Thank you for tuning in, and I do hope you subscribe if you haven't already. I also hope you have your happy hour beverage on hand and ready for our chit chat. Let's jump right in. When we talk about back-breaking work, this would not typically bring images of someone at a desk, sitting behind a computer. And yet so many of us in corporate, especially if you're north of 30, nurse back, neck, and shoulder pain and appreciate massages more than a cold glass of water on a hot day. Okay? The other day I was laying down and I thought to myself, so this is why our parents had us walking on their backs when we were younger. Although I have opened this episode with talk of back pain and old age, which not all of us may relate to, the topic at hand is actually about wellness and self-care, which in my opinion are things that all of us should be practicing. I think it's especially important for those of us who are trying to harmonize the joys and pressures of work and everyday life. Before we go any further, I will pause here and say I am not a healthcare professional, nowhere close to it. In fact, I am but a humble accountant by training. The purpose of this episode is not to provide medical advice, but rather to share my wellness journey, which was born out of my struggles with managing stress and the lessons I have learned along the way. With that being said, let's get into it. A few years ago, I encountered what I think was burnout. And here's why I think that. For starters, my body started giving me cues that I needed to chill. I needed to calm down. I developed a stiff neck from hell. My shoulders, back, and neck were involved in some tense coalition government that resulted in me not being able to get myself out of bed without painkillers. I admittedly don't have the best posture in the world, and this was confirmed when my physiotherapist told me I needed to strengthen my core in order to improve my posture. However, we cannot ignore the impact that a sedentary life of sitting in front of a laptop for the majority of the day has on our bodies. And yes, I had to go through several weeks of physiotherapy to get some relief from the tension I was carrying and the pain it brought. And I'll be honest to say, this experience is something that has changed how my upper body feels and functions to this day. Periodic massages are an essential for me, and I will visit a physiotherapist as and when I need to. Secondly, aside from the physical aspect, I was mentally consumed with work. I wasn't sleeping well because A, I felt overwhelmed with all I had on my plate. All my waking hours were spent working or thinking about work. And B, when I did sleep, I was usually dreaming about work. Instead of floating on the cloud of money and milk and honey, I would be problem solving in my dreams. Thirdly, I didn't feel well emotionally. I was surly and not joyful at all. If you know me, you know I like to laugh, I like to joke around, I like to dance, and that just wasn't me anymore. The simple things that brought me joy, like listening to an audiobook or cooking a meal for someone that I love, myself, just didn't do it for me anymore. My friends and family started to say things like, "You've lost your spark. You don't seem like yourself." Oh, and I should also mention that I started having mental/emotional breakdowns filled with panic and tears. Do you remember that show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You know how they had that option for contestants to call a friend? Well, I oftentimes had to call a friend to wade through some of those moments. And shout out to our support systems, the people who hold us down when we need it. You know yourselves, you are the real MVPs. Now, earlier I mentioned that I encountered what I now think was burnout. I say I think I had burnout because I wasn't diagnosed as such by a healthcare professional or anything. However, that is what that experience felt like. That's my authentic truth. I know everything I have said up to this point may sound relatable to some and dramatic to others. And like I said before, I'm just here to share my experience. And if this discussion helps even one person decide to take better care of themselves, then sharing this experience has been worthwhile. I'm going to talk about self-care and wellness using the Wellness Wheel, which is a tool I was first introduced to through personal coaching and again through therapy. The Wellness Wheel typically includes 8 aspects of life that contribute to our overall wellness. And those are physical, emotional, social, intellectual, spiritual, occupational, environmental, and financial. I really love this tool because it provides a nice template for us to holistically check in with ourselves and even with others. The physical, emotional, and financial aspects of the wheel have particularly been top of mind for me lately, and those will be the focus of this episode. So I opened this discussion with talking about the physical cues that my body was giving me. So it's only right that we kick off with the first thing we think of when we talk about wellness, which is physical. I like to think of physical wellness in terms of 5 key areas, which are movement, nutrition, hydration, rest, and doctor's visits. I'll start with movement because it's been the most impactful element of my physical wellness journey. Moving our bodies is essential, whether it's in the form of morning stretches, an evening walk with the family, running around with the kids. We should be doing something to move our bodies. I know this can be hard given the many conflicting demands and priorities on our lives. However, moving our bodies not only benefits our present selves, but also our future selves and those who love us. It gives our present selves more energy, mental focus, and endorphins, which just make us feel good. And people who feel good are just more fun to be around. Who wouldn't want that? I know I want that. It also helps our future and older selves by helping us enjoy a better quality of life with our loved ones. I know exercising does not guarantee a long and healthy life. Trust me, I am not naive enough to think we're in control of all the things that impact us, physical health included. But if we are blessed enough to live long, surely we do not want to have avoidable ailments right there next to us, right? So going back to my journey, after my stiff neck era, I had gone to see a chiropractor because I had a few aches and pains there. And after a few visits, he told me something I will never forget. He said, Zamiwe, chiropractic care and physiotherapy are what we call passive care. You consistently doing your stretches and exercising at home are considered active care. Funny enough, even though I remember his words vividly, they only started to deeply resonate with me recently as I have become more committed to my exercise routine. For those who may not know, passive care refers to the treatments you receive from a practitioner, like a chiropractor such as himself, or a masseuse, or a physiotherapist, where you are the passive participant. Active care, on the other hand, involves actions you take yourself, like exercising, like doing stretches, to actively manage your health. I am sharing this because I realized that I was in the habit of outsourcing my physical wellness through passive care. Despite all the physical pain I had suffered, I somehow could not commit to consistently actively moving my body to reduce the number of times I had to lay on someone's table in near tears because I needed some passive care. And that realization has been life-changing. If you don't know where to start, you are in luck because so much fitness content is available to us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. There are also a lot of free apps such as the Nike app and the Gymshark app, which include loads of workouts with instructional videos to go with them. If you're more of a reader, I highly recommend the Roadrunner Zambia blog. It's a fitness blog written by fellow Zambian Nicholas Majula, who is both a certified personal trainer and corporate professional. I really enjoy his style of writing in that he marries science and humor. His content is also relatable because he talks about the real life challenges we face, such as resisting what he refers to as vitumbua parties that happen in the office at breakfast time. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that one. I would actually love to see more fitness content and apps from Zambian and African creators. There's just something about learning from someone who looks, sounds, and eats like you. Someone who just gets you. I'll link everything I have mentioned here in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. If you have the means, I would also recommend getting a qualified personal trainer to ensure you have the best form and to hold you accountable. If you're already an active gym bunny, keep going. You are doing great, sweetie. Keep going. On to nutrition. They say abs are made in the kitchen, and that is probably why I don't have them. Seriously though, what we eat impacts how we feel physically and mentally. There's a whole section of the internet that talks about the impact of gut health on mental health, but we won't go down that rabbit hole this time. Someone once told me something to the effect of, if you don't eat food as medicine, one day you will eat medicine as food. Now, Your girl loves her food. I will take this opportunity to outrightly say I do not believe in extreme or restrictive diets. They are usually unsustainable, and my layman's opinion is that eliminating entire food groups such as carbs cannot be good for us. However, I think we should make an effort to fuel our bodies with whole, nutritious foods. If you know me, you know I love my nshima, or pap, or ugali, as some of us call it, depending on where we're from. While nshima is my top 2 and not number 2 favorite food, I know I can't eat it every day like I used to while growing up. These days, instead of my beloved, I will enjoy a butternut squash, some brown rice, sweet potato, a salad. And guys, let's be honest. The reason some of us do not like salads is because we make them as boring as they can possibly be. It's okay to get creative and add some nuts for texture and a zesty salad dressing or some seasoned protein. And it doesn't just have to be chicken breast. It can be shrimp. It can be so many things. There is so much we can do with salads to make them tastier and keep us fuller for longer. Continental food aside, one of the best parts about being Zambian and African is the quality and variety of our food. We have such a wide variety of nuts, seasonal fruits, vegetables that are readily available throughout the year. The cherry on top is that they are more affordable than the processed foods in the supermarket. The fact that I can step outside my house and find fresh mangoes, avocados, masao, baobab, and that's not even naming everything, is such a privilege. The fact that our local cuisines incorporate so many interesting vegetables that can be cooked in special ethnic ways, that is such a privilege. That being said, some ethnic foods can be heavy-handed with the carbs. And one of my favorite food pages on Instagram, at Eat Smart Dietetics, shares great content on how to maintain a healthy diet while enjoying our cultural foods. Be it Asian or African foods, she's got you. She also provides valuable content on food portions and proportions between carbs, protein, and veggies. Because I love you, I will also link the recipes to some gorgeous salads and Eat Smart Dietetics Instagram handle in the show notes. Let's talk about hydration, okay? Approximately 60% of our bodies and 70% of our brains are made of water. This is according to my best friend ChatGPT, and I am inclined to believe her. So one can only imagine what we're doing to our bodies when we're dehydrated. Eating and not hydrating is like putting food in a blender without any liquid in it. And ironically, when I say I have damaged a blender this way, drink your water, ladies and gents. We all know the benefits. If you struggle with this like me, try infusing your water with fruit or eating water-rich foods such as cucumbers, oranges, watermelon, etc. I also try to start my day with a glass of lemon water and have made a habit of keeping a water bottle with me as I go. And because we are all adults here, I would be remiss to talk about hydration without talking about, drumroll please, alcohol. Unfortunately, beloveds, we cannot and should not be saving water by drinking more alcohol. Most of us can relate to how, quote unquote, opening the tap on a night out will have you frequenting the bathroom ever so often. This is because alcohol increases the production of urine, which leads to loss of more fluid than you're consuming. I'm not saying we shouldn't drink, but all of this is to say, let's remember to drink water alongside our poison of choice next time we're out. Besides, it's not even like we can weather hangovers as well as the 20-something college version of ourselves. Without belaboring the point, I'll leave this here. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Your body will thank you for it. Now, let's talk about rest, which is also one of my favorite things because I love me a nap. You need to rest, whether it's taking small breaks throughout your productive moments, stepping away from your work for a bit, or opting for longer term rest like a sabbatical or a career break like I am doing right now. Rest is essential. If you work out, you know that the best gains happen when you rest and recover adequately. With that being said, I feel like the conversation about rest goes hand in hand with the conversation about procrastination. If you can, please resist procrastinating. It really impacts the quality of your rest. Because if you procrastinate, then your to-do list is haunting you like the ghosts of Christmas past. And you need quality rest in order to be your best. But then there's the flip side, right? What if you aren't procrastinating? What if you're staying on top of things, doing everything you need to, and still can't get some quality rest, either because the work is never ending or you just can't get your brain to slow down? In my opinion, then perhaps the structures in place are unsustainable in the long term and some bigger changes need to happen. Of course, there are times when we need to sprint in order to get things done. But if there's no end in sight, then perhaps it's time to re-strategize and reconsider things and realign to give ourselves a more sustainable structure, because burnout is real and it is not pretty. Given that we're on the topic of rest, I will dive deeper into how I'm resting and so much more in the next happy hour session, where I will answer all of your questions about my career break. If you haven't already, feel free to DM me your questions and I'll be happy to answer them on that episode. And last but certainly not least, I can't talk about physical wellness without mentioning doctor's visits. You know, in Bemba, we say, "Amen shikwatiwa pongosh," to tease people who don't like to bathe, which when translated means you fear water like it's your in-laws. That's how some of us treat the doctor's office. Now, I'll keep it real and admit that my approach to medical care recently completely shifted when I moved abroad, in that it gave me an appreciation for preventative care through annual checkups. The main reason for this is not the lack of means or facilities. I was formerly employed when I was in Zambia and had medical insurance at the time. It was more so that we do not have the culture of going for medical checkups back home. Preventative care is not a thing for a lot of us, and we usually go to the doctor when something is gravely wrong. And I say gravely because when we're ill, self-medicating is generally the first line of defense. I just want to encourage us all to keep up with our annual medical checks. Health is one of those instances where ignorance is not bliss. If anything, it helps us catch and treat things early should we find something serious. For my ladies, let's get those pap smears and mammograms timely. On a somewhat unrelated note, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but it is not normal for your gums to bleed when you brush your teeth. It may be an indicator of gum disease or the need of dental cleaning for your teeth. Let's also try to keep up with our dental appointments. Going to the dentist does not need to be synonymous with getting your teeth pulled or filled or a root canal. One of my life goals right now is to age with all the teeth I currently have. If you have medical insurance, find out if annual physical, dental, and optical checkups are covered and set up your appointments. And if you don't have medical insurance and getting on a plan isn't an option for you, please look into which public health services are available to you in your area for both physical checkups and mental health care services. Mental health being something we'll discuss shortly. Health is wealth, and it's truly one of those things that we do not appreciate until we lose it. Okay, let's dive into emotional/mental well-being. You know those days when everything just seems to pile up, work deadlines are looming, family obligations are calling, and it feels like there's no end in sight. Life be lifing sometimes, and when the stress keeps building up, it can seriously affect our emotional and mental well-being, which is why I am a big advocate for therapy, counseling, journaling, whatever helps you process your thoughts and care for your well-being, make time for it. I know that between the responsibilities we have with our jobs, church, and the various communities we belong to, it's easy to put our mental well-being at the bottom of the list. Yet, when we neglect this area, it impacts everything else. How can you pour into your work, your loved ones, your passions if you're constantly running on empty? If you're feeling emotionally distressed or just have some emotional baggage you want to work through, seek professional help. Trust me, it's okay. There is no shame in the game. And hand on heart, I can truthfully say therapy is one of the best things I have ever invested in for myself. Even when I'm not going through the ringer mentally, I'll still set up a session every few months for, as I call them, maintenance sessions, because I genuinely enjoy operating from a healthy baseline and I am willing to invest the time and money to maintain it, just like I would my physical health. Speaking of money, let's talk about it, shall we? Financial wellness is one of my favorite topics, not because I have it all figured out, but precisely because I don't. It always feels like an exciting project, a work in progress, and something that constantly offers me room to learn and grow. And I know I'm not alone in this. If you're Zambian, you probably know these famous lyrics by Exile. Love Nanjala Sivi and Delana, which for my non-Zambian listeners means love and hunger don't go together. Now, this isn't exactly a love and relationships podcast, so I'll leave the debate on Exile's wisdom for another time. But what I will say is that money affects almost every area of our lives, from where we live, the schools we send our kids to, our diets, whether or not we get to experience a luxury safari in Lower Zambezi. And here's the part some of us may not want to think about right now. Our finances, stress also impact the quality of our retirement, or let's face it, whether we even get to retire. Beyond the material side of things, our relationship with money impacts something deeper: our mental state, our emotional well-being, the relationships with the people we love. Financial stress can seep into our personal lives, strain marriages and friendships, and leave us feeling overwhelmed. And yet we often shy away from facing these things head on. My point is, let's get our money right, guys. This isn't something to procrastinate on, because time is money, literally. If we're going to speak about the compounding effect of money, time is money. Again, we're in luck because there is a wealth of resources out there, pun intended, on how to manage, save, and grow your money. The online content on personal finance is endless, and I implore us all to take the first step in our financial wellness journey today if we haven't already. No matter where you are, whether you're just starting out or looking to just fine-tune your riches, it's never too late to make a positive change. If you need a starting point, go back to episodes 9 and 10 of season 1, where I had the immense pleasure of speaking to Chanozia Kavae about all things personal finance. Trust me, that conversation was packed with useful tips. And stay tuned for some amazing insights from our upcoming guest this season, Jane Mazimba. Both discussions are gems, and no, I am not just saying that because I am biased. Thank you for tuning into this happy hour. I know I always ask you to share the episode with a friend, family member, or colleague, but this time I also want to hear from you. How did you find the episode? What stood out to you? How are you taking care of yourself? Let us know in the comments. We would love to hear your thoughts. Before you go, just a gentle reminder to take care of yourself. You matter, and you are absolutely deserving of your time, love, and affection. So please, take care. Kind regards, Zamiwe.